If you have said to yourself, I should write that, or if someone has said to you, you should write that, then I'm talking to you because you need to write. And that's why you're tuned in to yWrite. Hi, welcome back to yWrite. I'm your host, Angela Grout, and it's great to be in studio today. And I have two guests today. It's a very special show. Usually there's only one person that I bring in, but today I have two. And the topic today is writing groups. I don't know if any of you know what a writing group is, but today on yWrite, you're going to find out exactly what a writing group is, how it operates, and what it can do to help your writing. So I want to welcome my guests today. Today I have the co-facilitators of Springfield Write-Up. I have Donald Fisher. Donald Fisher has been writing poetry and nonfiction for over 40 years.
Fiction also.
Over 40 years.
Yeah.
His first book was published, his first book of poetry was published in 2017, and it's called On the Edge of Grace. And we have a copy of it right here to show you. And Donald lives in Chicopee. And I will share this with you that he has been with Springfield Writers, trying to do two things, Springfield Writers, working on a current novel. So I don't know if he's going to share that with us, but I know he has some things to share with us. And our second guest is also the co-facilitator and the co-founder of Springfield Write-Up. And Springfield Write-Up has been one of the writing groups in Springfield, Massachusetts for the past 5 years. And she's going to tell us more about how it got started and all of that wonderful stuff. She's a published poet, and she's an avid writer, and she's a mental health advocate for NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness. She's also a certified yoga instructor and the founder of Mindfulness Yoga with Kateri. She has her classes right here in Agawam and in other locations, so we can find out more about that too. So I want to welcome Kateri Walsh and Donald Fisher.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you. So glad that you guys could come in, that we could talk about writers groups. You know, I think I was invited by one of your members. I can't remember exactly how I found out about the Springfield Write-Up, but I know at the time it was being held at the Springfield Central Library on State Street.
Yeah.
Yes.
Matthew Jacquet, right? If I say his name right, he sort of facilitated it or coordinated it, and yourself
And Tara
Broner actually founded.
Yes, we were the original founders.
And that was 5 years ago.
Yes, so we were at a writing workshop with Maria Luisa Herrero, who was the poet laureate of Springfield. We were at one of her open mic poetries, and Tara and I were there, and the same day we're like, let's start a writing group. We wanted to start our own writing group for the Springfield City Library. So we came together, we asked anyone if they were interested in joining a writing group. People signed up, and then we got hooked up with Matthew in the city library, and we then became a program, an adult program in the Springfield City Library. Tara and I started it together. We built the community. We built the writing group. We just had a 5-year anniversary in May.
And the group in the community is so warm and welcoming.
Yeah.
And I'll share, like, my first time going, I had no idea what to expect. I mean, I belong to a writers group at the Springfield Museum, but this is, through the library, and it's public, and you don't know who's showing up. And, I didn't know what to expect. And when I got there, it was just very welcoming to walk in the room. You just, take your seat and you look around. And I mean, that first time, I think you had at least 30 or 35 members when I started joining.
Yeah.
And I think I've been going, I want to say, like, for maybe 4 years, because it was pre-pandemic.
Yes.
So I didn't even realize that you had only been around for like a 1 year at that point. I thought it was much longer because it was so professionally run.
Yeah, well, it started small, and we started in the first room. Don and I were there, was in the upper rifts of the library. We started there, and we have our original members who are still with us today, who have been with us for 5 years. We've all become great friends, very supportive. And the thing about our writing is that we were focusing on having a positive writing space, positive feedback, all about welcoming positivity, like if you only constructive criticism, people coming to share their work, to get encouragement, to help each other and give positive feedback. So we wanted to have that positive environment.
Yeah, and it really is a positive environment. I mean,
It
they've
is.
had, the first time I came, you were in like the back community room. And then I remember one time there were so many people. Like, I want to say there might have been 50 people there. We split into 2 groups, and it
Yeah, I
was kind of loud.
Yeah.
So then we had to go into, like, the computer room, and
Yeah,
we split
I
into
remember.
3, and then I ended up in the rafters.
Yeah, did
You know,
you?
one group in
Yeah.
the rafters, one was in the computer room, one was here, because, you know, there were so many, and the way that you provide prompts, if someone needs the prompt, is wonderful, because it really does get your pens, you know, your motor running with the warm-up,
Right.
and then,
Yeah.
you know, after the warm-up, having that dedicated time to work on whatever you need to work.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I want the audience to know is being a member doesn't mean you have to be working on a novel.
No.
No, not at all.
Can you share a little bit about like the types of people who come and come to this open writing group?
I mean, it's all types. People who definitely want to make a living doing it. People who are just doing it for fun. I mean, it's across the board,
Yeah.
pretty much. And I mean, I want to stress about the positivity. I mean, when you're writing something new, it's not helpful if you hear something really negative when it's like really fresh. You know, you're not going to want to write.
And
when
I will
stuff
share
like
that was one of my
happens.
fears of coming into joining a
Yeah.
writing group and sharing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you're like,
Yeah.
oh gosh, you know, writing is such a lonely
Yeah.
sport. It is a sport.
It
But
is.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a
it
sport.
is.
You need endurance for it, for sure. You need your muscles to be in shape.
It is. I think it's one of the most solitary things you can do.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's very lonely. So to be in a group, to not only all be writing at the same time, which I find magical, because sometimes I'll stop and look around a room and think, for me, like, wow, Spirit is talking to all of us in our own way. And how many stories there are. But then the other thing I look at is like, makes me feel normal, like, oh wow, they're all doing the same thing I do when I'm by myself. So I feel, you know, but sharing it,
Yeah.
you know, and you don't make anyone share. It's
No.
always you're
No.
welcome to share. You don't
Yeah.
have to share.
No.
And
Well,
the prompts are,
Go ahead.
you can use the prompts or you don't have to use the prompts. The
Yeah.
prompts can be used for inspiration. We provide a lot of different prompts so people have a choice, different themes, different prompts. And we encourage if you would like to use it, if you need a start, but it's not required. You do not have to use the prompt. If you want to come in, like Don works on his novel, if you want to come in and work on your novel or any other type of writing, poetry, anything
Yeah.
you would want that you're working on, you can come and share. And I also want to stress that it's not just for established writers. It's for anyone. You
Yeah.
could have just have an interest, never wrote before,
Yes.
and just want to come in and try it and see it, and you'll get just as much positive feedback as if you're a novelist and if it's your first poetry, your first writing group.
And I know what is shared in the room stays confidential. You know,
Yes.
so we're not talking about that.
Right,
So I do
right.
want to talk
That's
about a little
huge.
bit, but I'm gonna keep everything confidential. But like I know many times when I've been there, there have been, you know, people obviously working on their memoir, people writing poetry,
Yeah.
writers of music coming in to write their lyrics and kind of testing them out. You have you know, journalists who sometimes come in if they're working on a story and be able to take that time to write it and then just share it a little bit to see if he's sharing enough.
Yeah.
There's been people who write newsletters, you know, for their companies or working on for something for business.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love the whole genre of how there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And for myself, I mean, there's been times I've come in and, you know, worked on a chapter for my novel, but then there's other times where I'm just inspired to write a poem. This past weekend, you know, I was kind of writing like a little memoir piece.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, what you either want to put on your agenda to write during this time or what's going to just move you to write. And when you leave,
Yeah.
you know, I'm always so happy just to get there
Yeah. Yeah.
and write. I mean,
Well, one of the
It's always
things
a-
is
yeah.
the diversity, which is so great about our group. The
Yeah.
different just as you said, all the different genres. You
Yeah.
can come for pretty much anything you like to write. The diversity of writing, the diversity of levels, the diversity of people. It's our whole
Yeah.
community of Springfield.
Yeah.
The whole diversity part of it.
I think it makes me a better writer
Yeah.
hearing
Oh,
other
absolutely.
people.
Just writing, you get better at it. If you
Yeah.
keep writing, you're bound to get better at it. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
For me personally, it was a good fit for me because I also attend a workshop in Amherst, and it's a lot like it. There's some differences, but it's a lot like it.
Well, number one, it's
Yeah.
closer to home.
Yeah, well, there's that. There's definitely that.
But-
But we're still meeting on Zoom, so that's
Yeah,
like, yeah.
And that was a wonderful thing, Kateri, that you provided for members of Springfield Springfield write-up was that during the pandemic we could
Yeah.
still gather and be writing.
Yep.
I have to give Tara Brona a lot of credit on that. She
Yeah.
organized
shout
that.
out to her.
She
Yeah,
was great. She
definitely.
was great. Tara and Matthew, there's a transition right now. They did a great job. I loved working with them.
Yeah.
Now we're transitioning. We're in a new location. We're in the East Forest Park Library. Beautiful new library.
Yeah.
Beautiful writing room. Beautiful
Beautiful.
writing space.
And that's right on Surrey Road.
Surrey Road in
Yeah.
Springfield.
And it's a beautiful library. So yes, and it's the second Saturday of every month
Yes.
from 12:30 to 2:30.
Yes.
Yep.
So I mean 12:30 to 2:30, you get 2 full hours, of writing and feedback and being in a community and getting that love and support,
Yes.
or staying anonymous and just
Yeah.
being the wallflower, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, the East Springfield Library on
East
Surrey
Forest
Road,
Park.
East Forest Park Library on Surrey Road really is a beautiful
Yeah.
facility.
It really is.
Yeah.
And there's better parking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Parking
that other
is
place.
great.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's
man.
better parking. So I know you're working on a novel, Don,
I am.
and I know,
I am.
as a novel writer, I know when we're working on it, we don't always like to discuss it. I'm
Yeah.
that way.
I don't know.
So-
I've heard of a lot of writers say that they don't like talking about it because it makes
Not
it harder
publicly,
to
yes.
access it.
100%. And even when I'm writing, sometimes I find it's
Yeah.
hard to read.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't want to read other stories. I don't want to pull anything out of there. I
Yeah.
want my story to be authentic.
Yeah.
But when you come to class, I'm calling it. Well, when you come to the group, not only do you sometimes work on your novel pieces, but
Yeah.
you will write things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I this weekend, and I don't want to infringe anything
Oh, no,
on
no.
you,
It's
but
all
like
right.
this weekend, you both wrote something,
Yeah.
and if one of you wanted to share, or both of you, just a little bit of how you write immediately, and when we share, it's not edited, so everybody in the group knows
Yeah.
okay, this is a raw piece,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
sometimes just the story itself and the poems or whatever just resonates so much with others in the room that we're like, oh yeah, you're on the right track.
Yes. And that's another thing that's original is you come in we have a certain time allotted for writing, which is fresh writing from your heart, from your mind to the pen, to the paper, or your laptop, or whatever you're writing for. It's original work being done at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we all share and give feedback. So it's really good to hear the feedback after it's a freshly written piece.
Mm-hmm.
And
But there are members who I've noticed have brought in pieces that they've edited, or some people come in with their typed chapter, and they'll still do they're still writing something, but then they're like, well, I want to share this third draft of my chapter.
Yes, that's perfectly fine too.
Especially
Yeah.
the sci-fi writers
Right.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, continue like Don,
Yeah.
you do continue writing on
Right.
your novel.
Yeah,
Right,
so
right.
sometimes we're like, well,
Yeah.
what's next? Like, we
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
read what's next, but it's not, we know we can't ask because it's all working.
I can go into a little bit of detail about
You
it.
want to
anyway.
go?
Yeah,
I
don't
really don't
mind.
want to put you on the
Just
spot, but
somewhat.
I know.
I don't mind.
I did talk to you prior to the show about
Yeah.
on Saturday, going, maybe you should read those.
Anyway, it takes place in Greenfield here, and
fun.
nearby Greenfield. It's about a private investigator who's got a new case, and I'm not going to go into too
No,
much
no, don't
details
tell us about the
about it.
case.
It's a lot of fun for me. I mean, I've been reading stuff like it for years, and even when I was a kid, I read the Hardy Boys mysteries until I read one of their books, and it turned out they weren't into rock and roll at all. And I was like, I'm done, guys. I'm done.
So, writing about a private investigator and who's working on a case, I can
Yeah.
relate to, because when I was writing April Rain, I mean,
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
I have an investigator who's working on this unsolved mystery, and you read Hardy Boys. I wasn't a Nancy Drew reader,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
like, for me, I was really out of my comfort zone writing
Yeah.
it, but I do feel sometimes when you're called to write a story,
Yeah.
sometimes when that story just
Yeah.
keeps coming at you, you got to do it.
It's a lot of fun, actually.
But
it really is.
Are you like,
I
you
mean,
get to do some research and you get to use
Yeah.
your imagination?
Right,
so
yeah. And writing action also, I think, is a lot of
Yeah.
fun. It's very invigorating, and,
It's very cool that you're setting it in Greenfield, though.
Yeah.
I do wish I shouldn't say I wish, but sometimes I wanted to pick a local
Yeah.
location, but I chose the town of Timingsley to set it in, so
Yeah.
it's kind of a fictitious
Yeah.
town, because
Yeah.
there's so many towns, unfortunately, and especially through my own inspiration, of where there was an unsolved murder that
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be a real thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is in a town of Timingsley, named from one of my best friends, Timmy, who passed away.
Oh,
So
right.
I just said, I'm going to name a town after you.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I love about Don working on his novel is each time we hear more about the
Yeah.
novel, we get more intrigued
Yes.
in hearing more what's happening next and leaving us on cliffhangers and just
Yeah.
really good to hear
And
the process of
How
the
long
novel.
have you been working on this novel?
I'd say about a year.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got, I don't know, I got to sit down and outline it, I think. I know a lot of people swear by outlining, and I
Yeah.
haven't quite actually gotten down and done it. I still don't know how it's going to, I actually kind of know how it's going to end, and I definitely know how it's going to beginning. It's everything else that happens in
Yeah.
between, you know?
Well, and the book that I'm working on now
Yeah.
is similar. Like, I just started writing it. Writing,
Yeah.
you know, and then
Yeah.
getting all these chapters. And then I would say about maybe 3-4 months afterwards, I sat down and I was like, you know what? I need to do an outline.
Yeah.
Because I knew, like, I had, these 10 chapters, but now how did they fit and what else did I want to tell?
Yeah.
So then I was able to put it in order of, okay, this is the way it needs to be told, and then shuffle the pages around a little bit. But of course, that means a lot of editing because,
Yeah. Yeah.
between,
Exactly.
making sure it's told in the proper tense and sense, all
Yeah.
that stuff. So yeah, it was very exciting. So the poem, it's a poem. No, you did a story this weekend.
Yeah, that was a story.
Yeah.
Part of the story, part of the novel.
And I know,
Absolutely.
Kateri, you do a lot of poetry, but
Yes.
you also
Great
are
poetry. Yep.
such a beautiful and eloquent writer that's so honest about what goes on in your own head.
Thank you.
I mean, it's just, it's so refreshing.
Yeah.
Well, I like to use my poetry as advocacy for mental illness because I'm an advocate for mental illness. I'm on the board of directors for NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness, and I share my story on social media. I advocate for NAMI online through poetry. And the thing is about it is the first time I came out about my poetry was at an open mic reading at the Springfield City Library. And that poem ended up getting published on Twitter. So I've had like 4 or 5 poems published on Twitter. And
Do you think you will put them all together for a book one day?
I would like to.
I think that would be really
Yes,
great.
like a memoir.
I mean, the I'll call it your blogging on Facebook sometimes.
yeah.
They go one of 2 ways sometimes. Like, sometimes they're so uplifting and positive, but
And
then
other
sometimes it gives you that peek into how much of a survivor and a warrior that people have to be, and everyone, whether we all suffer from some sort of mental illness, and we all have that like little critic inside us, that little, my writing coach sometimes will call her the little the nasty girl, like you want to just shut her up, you know?
Yeah.
And, knowing that other people also feel this, I mean, really comes through, like, in your work especially. I hope you don't mind this, but I want to share something that you wrote on Facebook in your blog, because I just thought, like, wow, this is not only reflects your writing, your yoga, finding that peace and space to, to be alive, but it also resonates not just for yoga and for writing. I think it's for everyone. But you had posted, "Together we can end the stigmata. One voice, one story, one class, and one breath at a time."
That is nice.
It gives me chills even. I mean, the first time I read it, I got chills. I have chills right now because I'm like, it's so true. Like, we all have to be reminded, especially as writers of novels, like, we're like, we just want it done. I want the story out of me, childbirth. And, you want to just start, having, but it's like, no, one page at a time.
Yeah, you gotta let it take its own
one
pace.
breath, one day, and everyone needs that reminder because what a difference a day can make, in the world of everything. So I hope you don't mind that I shared that.
No, I also, that was after I had my first class for NAMI at School Street Park in Agawam, which I have the 2nd and 4th Monday of the month.
And when you're saying class, this is the yoga.
This is the
mindfulness
mindfulness yoga with my business, and that was the first class that I had taught for NAMI, and that was after I taught and I was reflecting, and yoga has made such an impact on my life and my healing for my mental illness. This has been a journey that I've been talking about for 10 or 15 years, from open mic poetry, from sharing on my story on Facebook, on Instagram, online, through my poetry. And the yoga brings it together. But number one is my faith. And my faith is God gives me every tool that I need. And it all stems from Him. And the yoga and meditation has helped heal my mind. I've been meditating every day for 2 years, and I've been going through an episode since September. I had lithium poisoning. I went from a high dose of lithium, the highest dose of lithium, to the lowest dose over within weeks. And then for the last 8-9 months, I've been going through med changes. And the way I've been able to stay stable has been through prayer, yoga, and meditation. And I was still able to teach during all of this, and teaching brings me peace. And I hope that that can bring hope and recovery to others. That's why I started teaching for NAMI, to help others with mental illness know that there's healing and there's hope and there's recovery. And I try and let that come through in my work, in my poetry, in my profession of teaching yoga to others.
Just listening to you speak brings me calmness because the passion that you have behind it all resonate, it radiates. I've had many, not many, but I know mental illness well. I've seen it. My mother was on lithium for many, many years, so I do resonate with your story because I've seen, the medicine changes and, the mood swings and trying to, just level things out. And prayer and God has been my mother's anchor. I mean, it is such an anchor for her that I am so grateful that she has that, and to be able to, understand that we as humans, suffer from anxiety. We all do have some sort of anxiety.
Not me.
Yeah, not men. Men will never admit to it.
Well, if we do, we don't talk about it.
But, it's just finding what can be an anchor for you. And, God is the, I agree with you, the ultimate source, but finding, that the God within you.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we're writing, we find that God on the paper, and when you're doing yoga, you feel God within you, and I think that can help to center and ground us.
My own take on it is, I've been given this gift by whomever. I mean, this
Universe,
talent. Yeah. And it'd be a sin to not use it. I mean, why would I not do that, It may be the only thing I'm really good at.
I know, like, when, I feel like, if when I was writing April Rain, kept saying, why am I doing this? Why am I writing this story of all stories about, a dead girl? Yeah. And then, fearing, is it me, or am I writing my own memoir? I mean, there's all that anxiety. But I would sit in a pew in church, literally, like, saying, please just tell me why I'm doing this. And, the answers that I would hear were, number one, you don't have to do anything.
No.
At the end of your life, if you get to the pearly gates or wherever, no one's going to be mad that you didn't do it. But isn't it a shame you didn't try?
Exactly.
If you wanted to.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I heard that really resonated with me as a writer was any story is good. Any story, especially where there's no story. So your story of the Springfield Cup is a great story because you know what? It doesn't exist. Yeah. No one can tell your story but you. Yeah. Everybody's got a story out there. There's audience members who have said, I want to write my memoir. I want to write down that chicken recipe. I want to write that great American novel. And they're like, how do I start?
Well, there's a quote that says, it's not the most successful person that always succeeded. It's the one that never gives up and the one that has the courage to try.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. So, I mean, I tell my, audience, start writing little at a time. Yeah. A lot at a time. Come to the Springfield write-up because, you can definitely do it. And, so let's, do one of you want to, share?
Sure. I'll read mine.
Okay. Because I was very moved, and I know, it was a short piece. So this is what happens at the Springfield write-up. You come in and you write a few little things, and sometimes you share them.
This is a poem that appears in my book. It's called Written at the Laundromat. Very short. Where 7 pairs of eyes stare back, black corduroys brought to the front, replace the white t-shirt, pass behind the glass cornea, as close to a wink as I'll get.
I can see that washing machine or dryer winking at you.
Very nice.
Very descriptive.
Thank you.
Do you mind if I read mine?
Yeah.
This was fresh from our last workshop at her write-up Springfield.
Yeah, Sunday was my, first time or not maybe my second time coming over to the East Forest Park Library.
Yeah, you were there a couple months ago.
I remember when you wrote this, Kateri. I think I'll share a little bit of one of the feedbacks in the group. Someone was like, Taylor Swift needs to sing those lyrics. So perhaps the audience right now may want to just like take that in. But
okay, this is called Unlearn, which was from one of the prompts.
Yes, Unlearn.
The brain of pain of suffer its name. You come to play, to mess with me. Oh, you did not know my spirit will always be free. My mind will suffer, I expect this, but you will not win. When you come in, walls of hell sprung on my brain, daggers to the membrane. You come to conquer, I fight to win. You will always be just that, the beast that has to devour me. I fight, I have accepted the plight. I accept the pain. I come back with fury. As you try to bury my mind 6 feet deep, I will weep. I will cry you out. As hard as nails to coffin you wish to lounge me, but I fight. I win. I take it in. All the intrusive, all the daggers, all the slits to my brain. Let me refrain and say, I will fight. I will fight back against the mind attack. The place you seed me to grace, the place of pain, I will find relief, with or without you harassing me, with or without you never leaving, always seeing your name, you trying to control and never letting go. I release you. You no longer hold me. I believe in the forces greater than thee. I release. You no longer hold me. I fight to win. You effing beast, now leave me be. I am over and over, no matter how long it takes. My sake is my stake in the start of the part of the story that is rewarded from this note.
It's just like so heavy but so relieving. I mean, it really is. It's a fight song.
Yes.
Well,
It's been a constant battle. I name the illness in my poetry the beast, constantly fighting the beast. And people can attest from when I first started writing in the group how different it was, the really fight. And now I'm coming to the point where overcoming that fight and fighting that beast inside and overcoming.
Yeah, and there's something very powerful when you put a name to something, because it's not you, it's outside of you, so it makes you feel like you have more control over yourself. You know, and I mean, separate note, but I recently just had my knees replaced. And you know, the pain and trying to welcome these new titanium knees, you know, is difficult. And I belong to a group, you know, community, and someone had said, you know, well, if you name them, then you can tell them what to do. You can tell them you know, to be out of pain. And I was like, So now I call them my twins. So, you know, I have twins now, Ella and Rita. I call it Rita. It's WRITA.
Nice.
It's the right one,
that's
and the
right.
left one. Ella is left.
Funny.
You know, but I really found, like, you know, now I can say, okay, come on, Ella, let's go. We gotta go today. You know, we're gonna get through this therapy. So putting a name to it, I think, is really important. So I thank you for sharing it, and I want the audience to understand that what she wrote, and you can see her papers maybe here on the counter, is exactly what she wrote in that moment. It's unedited, it's raw, and that's exactly what a lot of people do in this write-up group. So if it's something that you want to come to and become a member, what's the membership fee?
There isn't one.
It's $0.
Come as you
So
are.
it's
Everyone's
affordable
welcome.
to everyone. So yeah, the second Saturday of every month from 12:30 to 2:30 at the East Forest Park Library on Surrey Road. It's definitely a welcoming environment. So I hope that you might join them. Kateri, where can they find out more information about not only the writers group, but also mindfulness with Kateri Yoga?
I have a Facebook page and an Instagram page, Kateri Walsh Yoga on Facebook,
I'll put the link down below.
and Mindfulness Yoga with Kateri on Instagram.
Okay. And Don, how about you? Where can they find a copy of your book and find out more about what you're doing?
So the book's available at many local bookstores. Also, you can get it on Amazon. I would prefer if people use bookshop.org, though, because they deal with the local independent bookstores.
Bookshop.org. Okay.
Bookshop.org. And it's there because I've seen it several times.
Great.
There, so that's cool. Always a nice feeling to see it
Yeah,
pop up like that.
Well, I thank you so much, both of you, for coming
Yep.
in.
Mhm.
And I think this has been very enlightening for everyone.
Thank you, Angela.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you for inviting us.
This
Yeah,
is the time
this
in
is
the show where I like to give the audience a little prompt. I give them a writing prompt. So this is the time where, I want you all, when the show is over, to sit down. If you need to get a little cup of coffee or a glass of water or find a nice location, but wherever you are sitting, it doesn't matter. You don't need a proper space. Pick up a pen, a piece of paper, scrap paper, have that beautiful, nice notebook you just picked up at TJ Maxx or something. And, just start writing. Set your watch, set your timer for even 10 minutes, because 10 minutes can make such a difference. And today's prompt is, if I could write something, I think first I would write this. If I could write something, first I would write this. And you might find yourself writing a list. You might find yourself just writing a story, a memory, or just jotting down some notes. But you're going to see that something comes out. So I thank you today for joining me on yWrite. I am your host, Angela Grout. You can find us at YouTube at yWrite. That's small letter Y, capital WRITE. And we look forward to seeing you on our next episode. See you next time.